Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. We'll be talking about the overall political situation. Of course, we've seen Imran Khan Sahib say that he will be contesting on 9 seats himself, on which the resignations have been accepted. We'll be talking about what are the ramifications of this acceptance, considering that it will mean more by-polls later on. Of course, he will not be able to retain them. And then what does it mean for the overall political process, where we also have the PTI in court over the schedule that has been given out by the Election Commission on those very seats. We also have them in court on the piecemeal acceptance of those resignations. When legal recourse is being sought in one direction, whereas in the other direction it's also being said that they intend to go forward and go ahead with these by-elections. What can we expect in the next couple of days? Also the power show, which Imran Khan Sahib is talking about, saying on 13th of this month he intends to go forward. We've seen a lot of power shows as far as the PTI is concerned. We've also seen other power shows from other political parties, the PDM also, the PMLN also. What do they mean for political stability? What do they mean for economic stability? Is that something which is of consideration at all as far as our political parties overall are concerned? We saw the Prime Minister yesterday say that perhaps, one of the things that he said was that there will be time for politics later on. Perhaps it is now at this time more important to think about Pakistan first. Let's discuss all of that today on Perspective. I have with me Hafiz Ehsan Khokhar, who's member Supreme Court Bar Association. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Humayun Muhammad, who's a senator with PTI. Thank you for being with us. Hafiz sahab, legally speaking, like we were earlier talking about, of course, the fact that these 9 seats cannot be retained by Imran Khan Sahib, presumably if he manages to win all 9 of them. Why do you think this decision has been taken? And, what is political expedience here aside, when you look at the fact that, does it not show a lack of confidence? I will ask Humayun Sahib, of course, on what the overall, what the PTI says about that. But legally speaking, does it not show a kind of, when you look at what's happening as far as the court is concerned, they've gone to court on 2 issues. One, the piecemeal acceptance of the resignations. 2, the fact that, the schedule, they've challenged the schedule also. So what does it mean in your opinion?
Thank you very much for inviting me today's program. There is 2 aspects of this case. One is the legal constitutional aspect, and the second aspect is the political aspects. And my brother, who is sitting on right, he will more speak on the political aspects of these 2 situations. I must say that since April 2022, there are unprecedented the constitutional, legal and political issues are being happening in Pakistan, starting from the placing the vote of no confidence against the previous Prime Minister of Pakistan, and then the matter was brought to the Supreme Court of Pakistan. Then there was a judgment by the Supreme Court of Pakistan. Then there was a controversy in Punjab. And then the matter again ultimately went to the Supreme Court of Pakistan, and Supreme Court had decided it. Then there has been a legal controversy between the PTI and the Speaker National Assembly. PTI claimed that they have resigned, they have all resigned, and they have spoken, the leaders in the National Assembly, they have placed the resignations, and at that time they have submitted the resignation to the Deputy Speaker of National Assembly, and according to him, he had accepted all the resignations, and then these resignations were forwarded for further action to the Election Commission of Pakistan. This is the one side of the story. The second side on the Speaker side is that soon after the election of the Speaker of the National Assembly, the matter was placed before the House, and it was ruled by the Speaker National Assembly that there will be the individual verification of the resignation of the members who resigned from the National Assembly, and no one went to the National Assembly for
what is
verification.
The process? Does it have to be in person, or you can send somebody, can go in your stead?
If someone who has resigned from the seat by his own handwriting application or resignation to the Speaker with his signature, this is sufficient for the resignation purposes. But on the safer side, there is a requirement, you must verify that he has signed or not. But in this particular case, when the whole party and their leader has resigned from the parliament or the National Assembly, so it will be out of question that it was not signed by the person who has.
There is little doubt here. Let me come back to you. I'm going to go to Dr. Humayun after Dr. Nisar Cheema, MNA with PMLN, is with us. Ji Nisar Sahab, on this very point, why doesn't, we've seen, you know, there is little doubt that the resignations were in fact made en masse, and why do you think they were not accepted as such? And, you know, overall, what do you expect from this case now that the PTI has gone to court on the same issue?
MAHRUKH, as our friend was just pointing out, that it is just to be on the safe side that the individual members of the assembly who tendered their resignation or who alleged whose resignations have been submitted to the Speaker's office, they must be called in person and just to verify. That's all. I mean, to be on the safe side, and there's no harm in it.
So then you would expect that, so you expect the court to hold that those resignations, because they were accepted in, you know, they were in all sense of the word made together, so therefore they would be accepted as such, and that those elections should be held together. You don't agree with the schedule?
But you know, it is up to the Speaker to accept the resignation. Of course, Speaker has the authority, and it is, if Speaker wants to verify and to be on the safe side, as it has been said, I think there is no harm in it.
But no, but there is a lot of,
the authority rests with the Speaker of the National Assembly, and then the matter has to be referred to the Election Commission.
No, but of course it's pursuant to when those were accepted as far as the legality of it is concerned, as I understand. But you have no objection to, you know, the Election Commission holding all of these elections together? You think that the Election Commission will be able to do that if the court so holds? How do you see the situation now that the PTI is in court?
Well, you know, I don't understand the stance of PTI. I mean, about the national institutions, whether it is the Election Commission, whether it is the Superior Judiciary, or the establishment, the Armed Forces of Pakistan. Whenever it is found that any of their stance, I mean, they think it is in their favor, then I mean. They will appreciate the role and the role of that particular institution. But if it is just opposite, they think that their role, their stance, their point of view, any of their decision is found to be against them, then they will just condemn the institution, the whole institution. It's very, I mean, it's very bad, very unfortunate. And you know, I mean, just coming to the Election Commission's verdict, the decision. I mean, we didn't take the matter to the Election Commission, as you know. It was taken to the Election Commission by one of the founding members, Akbar Asbaba. And then, as everybody knows, I mean, they made repeated requests to delay it, to prolong the matter. Then they also made repeated requests that it should be made secret. It should not be heard in open court. Then, of course, it was found later on that so many accounts, more than a dozen accounts were concealed. They never mentioned, they never declared. Then, I mean,
I'll just come back to you. Let me take, you know, the comments on that very point from Humayun Sahab. Humayun Sahab, you heard what Nisar Sahab is saying. He's saying that, you know, it's really a matter of picking and choosing as far as the PTI is concerned. As far as these resignations are concerned, why, you know, on the one hand, you're saying that you're going to go for by polls, and like earlier we were talking about, as far as, you know, saying that accept these resignations and then contesting on those very seats. Is it, what is it in your opinion? Is it a political stunt? How do you look at it?
Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Okay, you see, we have inherited this form of democracy from British democracy,
right,
which is, let's say, it's a half-written constitution of them, because they believe in morality of the democracy. So there is a lot of morality. Now, Now let's suppose if the biggest party resigns from the parliament, then the very right thing, morally the right thing is that everybody goes to the main source, which is the public, and asks for a fresh mandate. Whether it's the Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, the biggest political party, or whether it is the what you call is the mix and match of 13 parties, which as per in 1971 Zulfikar Ali Bhutto said that about the PNA at that time, that these are 13 cats who are tied together with their tails, and each one of them is facing in a different direction. Now, so let me come towards the resignation. Now remember, these resignations were put to the then acting speaker, the deputy speaker, Qasim Suri, and he accepted the resignations of all the members of the parliament who gave the resignation. So, if my friend Dr. Nisar, who is a very learned doctor as well, if he is saying or trying to imply that the present speaker is saying that the other speaker was, that was not a constitutional speaker or whatever, and they are trying to, get away with his decision. Now that means that they are undermining the whole process of democracy. When it comes to his comment about Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, when the decision comes in their favor, they would say it's good, and when it doesn't come. So I must remind him that this is, first of all, it's a human nature. Number two, they must go back and visit what their leaders have been saying, whether it was a Maryam Safdar, whether it was Nawaz Sharif, Shahbaz Sharif.
So you are saying that if it was the PDM, or for example, because Nisar Sahib is with us, it was the PMLN which had resigned en masse, you would have gone for elections, general elections?
Yes, we would have. Yes, we would have. You see, actually, it's the, the earlier you were saying, do you not have the confidence? On the other hand, let me put it like this. Is the confidence of Imran Khan that is saying, okay, fine, you want to have by-elections, I'll contest in all the 9 seats. Maybe all the 155 seats, I'll contest. If you can stop me, stop me.
Okay, but
and if you can win a single seat.
No, but that's
saying, you think they are not making a mockery of this democracy?
No, but that's saying that he is fully confident of. I think I should let Nisar Saab answer this. Nisar Saab, before I go to Hafiz Saab, can you answer this? As far as Imran Khan Saab is saying, Humayun Saab is saying that Imran Khan Saab, it's his confidence that he's saying that, look, I'll contest on the 9 seats. Is it that, in your opinion, or because there is criticism in the media at this time that it is lack of confidence in his own team members at this time? Does he not think that they can win those 9 seats? And of course, it will mean more by-elections later on, because he can't retain those 9 seats, all of them. He has to choose one.
Well, I really fail to understand the logic behind, but personally I have no objection at all. If he is the leader of the party, if he decides to contest all the seats, no problem for us, no problem. But of course, it reflects no confidence in his own people, in his own candidates.
But I think it would be a problem for the Election Commission to keep on holding by-elections. Would it not be?
No. We have no objection at all. I mean, if he contests in all the by-elections, in all seats, but personally, I have no objection at all. I don't see any problem at all. But of course, it reflects his non-confidence, no confidence in his own candidates in those particular constituencies. But one thing, I would like to ask my brother. Dr. Humayun, that why this discrimination is quite obvious and conspicuous. And when it comes to National Assembly, you are sitting in the Senate, you are sitting in the KPK assemblies, you are sitting in the Punjab Assembly and all the assemblies, and why why is singled out National Assembly? I mean, why don't you come back to the National Assembly and play your democratic and parliamentary role?
That's a fair
Why don't you
question.
please? Why don't you advise your chairman to please review your decision, come back to the National Assembly?
Answer that. Ji, I have to go to Hafiz Saab. I'll come back to you. Hafiz Saab, the legality of it, as far as the Election Commission is concerned, they will have. Don't you think? I mean, as far for the Election Commission to say whether we talk about piecemeal, whether we talk about as as far as piecemeal is concerned, for them to have Imran Khan Saab hold these, contest on these seats, and then to hold by-polls on 8 of them again to have, I mean, as I understand, it takes about 20 to 30 lakhs for the Election Commission. So to spend that money again have those by-elections, use the state machinery again, are we, do we have the kind of resources for this kind of, what can one call it?
Absolutely not. It is all about now the politics and the political. And even sometimes
and the cost of it is not relevant.
And the cost of the cost of the funding or the cost of the expenditure is being paid by the people of Pakistan. Now the most important thing would be that when the PTI was in government, there was a demand from the opposition parties that fresh election should be held because they believed that it was rigged and it was not transparent. And now when the PTI, the PDM, they tried to get out the PTI from the government. Now the PTI is saying now there should be the fresh election, and the incumbent government is saying we will complete our term. So the most important thing would be, in my mind, that this is not the legal and the constitutional questions. Now, all the political parties need to sit together. The ultimate loss is the people of Pakistan, the economy of Pakistan, and we are overburdening our superior courts as well in Pakistan. That every time we have a different proposition, which is unprecedented, we bring to the High Court or to the Supreme Court, and then when there is a judgment on that, so sometimes one party is saying that there is the rule of law is prevailed, and who lost, they are saying they made the observation about the benches and the compositions.
The way we've seen them come
and now
out.
Another thing, unprecedentedly, now we are keep saying that it should be not by 3 members but 5 members. This is absolutely the discretion of the Chief Justice of Pakistan.
What about the foreign funding case? Now it is being said that it should be the full court should decide. Is that also a discretionary right of the Chief Justice, or does it have to be by the full court?
And it will not go to the Supreme Court of Pakistan. There are three laws involved in the foreign funding cases. One is the Constitution of Pakistan, the Article 17, sub-Article 3, saying that every political party has to prepare and maintain his accounts in accordance with law. Then there is the Political Parties Order 2002, and then the Election Act 2017. Election Commission of Pakistan has decided the case under the Political Parties Order 2002, Article 6(3) of the political parties. The maximum the punishment provided in PPO is the freezing of the accounts if it is proven that it is by the foreign funded or by the foreign nationals in that time. But in now particularly when there is not a conclusive judgment by the Election Commission of Pakistan, he has announced the judgment. He is saying prima facie the PTI involved in foreign funding and issued a show cause notice to the PTI to have proved it. Now there are certain persons who have been involved in the foreign funding. They are coming on the TV and they are saying on that that we are Pakistani nationals and we have paid to the PTI. So in that situation, the thing will be decided under by the Election Commission of Pakistan after issuing the show cause notice which they have been issued. And if on the later stage that if the Election Commission of Pakistan thinks that the matter should be referred to the Supreme Court of Pakistan, then they should not send a matter to under the Political Parties Order, but they will apply to the Election Act 2017, where it says that if the Election Commission is satisfied that the party is involved, he will send a reference to the federal government, and federal government within 15 days send a reference to the Supreme Court of Pakistan, and Supreme Court of Pakistan would be the ultimate arbitrator to decide all the issues by calling all the parties, and the consequent would be if they confirm the declaration sent by the Election Commission through federal government, the party would be dissolved, and all the members who are members either from the National Assembly, Senate, Provincial Assembly or the local government, they would be notified. This is the legal procedure. But now the Election Commission has decided the matter in the Political Parties Order 2002 and the period involved is from 2008 to 2012-13. At that time, the Election Act was not applicable. So might be it would be a question of the prospective and retrospective of the Election Act 2017. But more important thing, the positive side of the Election Commission of Pakistan is that now in future every party would be care about that, if this decision would come, might be if they are involved in the foreign funding, they would also be prosecuted.
But as I understand it, other political parties are also with the Election Commission.
Their cases are also with the Election Commission of Pakistan, and
so those are
the party whose against the decision has been announced, they are saying that the pending proceedings of these
across
cases
the board,
they also
let me come back to you. I want to talk more about legal, but let me go to Humayun Sahib. Will you answer Nisar Sahib? He was saying that you are in government. You have in fact just sworn in a cabinet in Punjab, the largest province of the country. You are also very much in government in KPK, and yet you say that you don't recognize the government in the national assemblies. You say that that you don't want to be part of it because you don't think it's legitimate. All of that narrative. But don't you think it's faulty, that narrative, when you are very much the part of a government, part of those same assemblies in the provinces, because you are in majority there, because you retain control in those assemblies? Is that it?
Okay, let me first comment on the thing about confidence on our workers. In by-elections in Punjab, we have shown the confidence on our workers. Some of them were the first timers, and they actually defeated them hands down in the heart of the PMLN.
All the more reason for you to give that same chance.
With reference to the confidence on our members, we have got 100% confidence, but at the same time, we would like to see what they can do in front of Imran Khan. Now, coming to that point, we are in Punjab and KP. We are ready. We have told them that, look, first of all, we have got no trust on the minds like Mia Nawaz Sharif and Asif Ali Zardari and Maulana Fazlur Rahman. They are, as far as we are concerned, they are the people not to be trusted at all. Number two, we have told them that, look, the biggest issue of Pakistan for the last so many years is that whoever loses says that there was, it was not the right thing, somebody has done, cheated and all those things. So let's sit together and decide how to do the free and fair elections once and for all.
So you're willing to sit with the people?
Oh yes, of course, we are willing to.
So where is the problem? Nisar Sahib, they want to sit with you on elections. What is the problem?
They know they can't win.
They're most welcome. I wish Imran Khan could have more sensible and wise advisors like Dr. Humayun. Such advisors, certainly they are an asset, and their advice must be considered seriously, and I think they are most welcome. When we were in opposition, as leader of the opposition, Mia Shahbaz Sharif, in his first address in the parliament, as you remember in 2018, he offered to come forward and talk in the Charter of Economy. But because of the vindictive mindset of Imran Khan, because of his narrow-mindedness, he never accepted.
Why isn't it happening then? You are saying that you are welcoming them. They are saying they are willing to do it. Then what's the problem?
And there's no problem. They are most welcome. We should sit together, and we must talk about the main issues concerning the whole nation, including the economy and the forthcoming elections, of course.
I don't think they want to talk
the
about
election laws.
They just want to talk about elections. And the
so
way
that
forward,
I fully agree with Dr. Humayun that there must be a system which, in which the whole nation must have full confidence. And nobody then, of course, should raise fingers on the results of the election. And we must have a transparent system of election. But
Okay, let me
I
come
mean,
back.
the entire nation must have full
I would
confidence.
like to add.
Ji, Nisar Sahab, let me
yeah,
come.
I
Ji,
would
have
like to
some.
add a point on my side, being a part of the justice system
Ji,
in
ji.
Pakistan.
Please.
That might be the people are concerned about the politics in Pakistan, and we are watching on the on the TV that there different talk shows that there is a political trouble in Pakistan. One party keeps saying other side, and other party keep to other side. But if in the same situation, if we are going to the election, next general election, there would be again problem in Pakistan. It would not be the stabilized Pakistan in that situation. Before going to that, four things are very important by all the political parties. If they are willing, Dr. Saab is saying they are willing.
Some kind of code of
Dr. Saab is
conduct.
one is we should work on the charter of election. It is the most important area. The second is the charter of governance, how we will govern the country. Then there is the charter of justice, because we are criticizing every time the Supreme Court of Pakistan. And very interestingly, when the ruling of the Deputy Speaker of National Assembly was challenged in the Supreme Court of Pakistan, the PTI is saying that the proceedings of National Assembly is immune under Article 69 of the Constitution. And they keep saying on that. And when on the other side, and the Muslim League and the allied party saying that the Supreme Court is the sovereign institution, they can decide on it. And when in the Punjab there was a ruling by the Deputy Speaker, the PMLN and their allied parties were saying that there is the Article 69 immunity.
Sir, I have a question for you.
yeah.
As far as using, legal engineering is
Yeah.
concerned, let's, for the lack of a better word, or the way that legal provisions have been used by both parties, overall by the PDM and the PTI, do you think, how are the people looking at it in your opinion? You think that it is people don't see this as, how it suits which political party? You don't think that the voters are going to be able to look at it that way? You think that it's not, or you think our people don't know any better? What's your take on this?
In 2, 3, 4 years last, and especially for the last 4, 5 months, there is a big polarization in Pakistan, and people are so much divided on that. But who are the responsible to ultimate resolve their issues? They are the political leaders in Pakistan. The parliament is responsible. The provincial assemblies are responsible. That's why I'm keeping saying that there are so many issues among these parties on different issues. But ultimately, for the sake of the country, they should sit together. They should talk about the timing of the election, and they should also amend the constitution about certain institution and about the tenure of the federal and provincial government. It should not be more than the 4 years, because we lack the temperament. After 3 years, we keep saying. And on the other side, we should work on the tax, we should work on the social justice sector, we should work on the investment in Pakistan. Every time there is a current deficit, when the next coming government is saying, they're saying that the previous government has ruined the country and they have made tunnels, disaster tunnels for the country. And the people of Pakistan, they will have to make the sacrifice on that. Now we should come out from this situation. All are very matured people and they have a very good background. But ultimately, for the sake of the country, they have to sit together, decide the major and legal and constitutional economic issues of Pakistan in the larger interest of the country. And I'm giving the best example of that we always been saying Rwanda. It's a very small country in African continent, and there was a civil war over there, and ultimately their leadership decided that now we will work in a different way. And in all the surrounding countries, the people of that countries, they are the poor, and they are more than corruption. And Rwanda is the zero corruption over there. What they have done is, it is done by the their leadership.
Let me come back to you, Humayun Sahab. As far as your political party is concerned, as far as how you look at things, don't you think if your members were in parliament and you had proved to be an effective opposition, it would have actually resulted in perhaps a better, overall it would have been a better decision in terms of momentum, that we don't know when the elections will be. So there's no way of knowing if your momentum or the political party PTI's momentum will carry forward to the elections. I mean, today, of course, the by-elections you are quoting as an example, but there's no way of knowing, what the overall picture will be, because as we look at it, the PMLN has been saying that it is your own seats, 3 or 4 of them, that you've lost. So that's their way of looking at those by-election results.
Okay, let's talk about those by-elections. There were 10 of PTI seats and 10 of independent seats, right? PTI won 16 of them, right? One of them in Pindi, PP7, the PTI candidate votes which was disregarded were 1500, and the way it was shown that the voter has put their stamp in the right place, it was the election commission who placed the wrong stamp. So it's not the fault of the PTI voters, or not the fault of the voters, it was the fault of the administration. So that should be probably the right votes. Now, and they won only with 47 or 49 votes, right? So if you really see, we have gained not only the number of seats, we have also gained the number of votes as well per seat. Now, coming to your this thing, you see, I think it would have been, if, it's a big if all these 13 political parties would have played fair, they would have not tried to buy off the our members, if they would have not played dirty, then maybe yes, right? But if they are using every wrong tactics in the political, you see, actually, if you go back to 1980s, that is in Changamanga, that is where they started this politics of horse trading, and today you see it's its best form. People are being paid significant amount of money, people have been paid or in kind or in money or in position, and their narrative that you would not get even one person begging for your seats. And what we have seen is that people are not going to them to get the seats. There are more people coming to PTI for the seats. So all in all, yes, if that vote of no confidence would be on merit and not because of the dictation of another country, we would be more than happy to be sitting on the opposition benches. But if the dictation is coming from another country, then absolutely not.
Let Nisar Saab, I'll let you answer this. Do you think that, as far as what Humayun Saab is saying, he's saying that the graph, political graph, that's what PMLN is afraid of, and the momentum overall as far as the PTI is concerned. How are you looking at the overall position?
Well, I can only say that we both, Dr. Humayun and myself, we must listen to the very wise advice given by Dr. Humayun, and we must sit together to discuss the different important areas which the whole nation is facing at the moment, including Charter of Economy, including Charter of
But they don't want to. Nisar Saab, I think you've misunderstood. Humayun Saab doesn't want to talk about Charter of Economy, neither does his party. He's saying they can't talk about the elections and how and when they will be.
No, he also mentioned about Charter of Governance, Charter of Social Justice, and the legal system in the country. I mean, these are the main areas which the entire nation is facing at the moment. We must sit together. The entire national political leadership must sit together and discuss these important areas and come to a conclusion and consensus.
As far as the PTI is concerned, Humayun Saab didn't say that. That's Hafiz Saab, and he said that's his independent opinion, that the government should sit and the opposition should sit with them. Humayun Saab does not. Humayun Saab, please elaborate. You've said that you don't want to sit with the government on any other issues apart from the elections, as I understand.
You see, for all, the basic problem in Pakistan is the political instability. In order to have a political instability, you need to have a way and means of having a fair election so that whoever gets the majority should be accepted by all the other parties. Now, once that is done, the rest of it is just a dominoes effect. Now, having said that thing, once you do that thing, what Hafiz Saab is saying is absolutely right. You need to know, I mean, elections has already been taken care of. You need to understand the governance. We also need to see what type of governance would fit in Pakistan. Do we really need to have the same kind of what you call as parliamentary system just like in UK, or should we go for a hybrid which is between the presidency and this thing, or should we go totally towards presidency? So we can debate on that in parliament.
When your government was in power, your party leader Imran Khan sahab made statements like, well, we didn't know what the actual situation was as far as the economy is concerned when we came in power. Misgovernance was an issue. There were a lot of issues when your government was in power. Granted that now your narrative may be different, but even if your political party does come in power, you will have to be prepared to take on those same issues.
Okay. You see, the biggest problem when we talk about the Charter of Economy, the biggest burden of economy is about the circular debt in Pakistan. There is another thing coming up, which is the pension. Pension will almost touch 3 to 4 trillion rupees. So you need to understand how to handle that thing. But circular debt is something. Now, circular debt is also the biggest source of import. It's the oil, right? Now, who was responsible for making this circular debt? It was all those deals that was made with the companies that you cannot touch. Whether they make the electricity or not, you have to pay them the money, you have to give them the fuel. So those things, right? Now, you are absolutely right. We need to really address all these things. PTI government when came in, there was certain, for example, Ishaq Dar had an artificial way of holding the dollar down, and Atif Mia has already said that was the biggest wrong thing that Dar could have done. He actually really damaged the economy of Pakistan at that time because of artificially keeping the dollar rate down. It was not free. Now we have, you see, in the first 2 years, 3 years, you can see that the GDP of during PTI, it went down from 6 where they left, it went down to minus, right? And then when you correct your direction, it starts coming up. And on the third one, we were touching 6. So if we would have done,
suddenly when the vote of no confidence happened,
no, it's not. It was before that. This thing was actually announced by their government in the last one. So if you would have let PTI government stay 1 more year, I can assure you we would have probably touched 7 or 8 GDP.
Nisar Saab, will you answer this?
I mean, they have just ruined and destroyed the economy of Pakistan. Of course, they inherited a GDP which was 5.8 at that moment, at the time when they came into power, and the inflation was just 4, which was multiplied by 3 during their tenure, and the GDP in history of Pakistan went to minus, below 0 during their time, and I mean the worst type of governance we have witnessed during their tenure. But one question can I ask MAHRUKH, with your permission, and that is that up to the last date of his tenure as Deputy Speaker, Mr. Qasim Suri, till the moment he made his last appearance in the National Assembly, where he made a controversial judgment, a controversial ruling. He gave a ruling which was later on certified by the Supreme Court of Pakistan. He never mentioned, I mean, on that last day, even on that last day, the members of PTI were present in the House, and he never mentioned that the resignations of the PTI members were accepted. When did he accept the resignations? Yes, I'm just asking.
I think that's a fair question. Maybe Hafiz Saab can, Hafiz Saab, as I understand it, I think Nisar Saab, it's a legitimate question. When did he say that he had accepted those resignations?
Now the only issue involved in that particular situation is the verification. The submission of resignation is no issue. The verification is the issue. But while the PTI at the final time, when they were present in the National Assembly of Pakistan, and they saying we have resigned, and then they walked out. And then later on there was a statement from the Deputy Speaker, and then there was a proceeding. But now this is the internal record of the National Assembly. They are in a better position to say on that and contradict what is the right situation, and that's why the PTI has filed a petition before the Islamabad High Court, and Islamabad High Court has issued a notice to the Speaker National Assembly to clarify the situation. Now the court will decide
Looking at what happened exactly, and of course
actually,
they'll probably summon the record of the National Assembly also.
They have asked for
and it will depend who accepted them and
who
when.
accepted and what was the process, because mere acceptance is not the issue, but after the acceptance, it has to be forwarded through the Secretary National Assembly to the Election Commission of Pakistan, and then Election Commission of Pakistan would denotify, and within 45 days he has to bound for holding the fresh election of the by-polls.
Right. Unfortunately, that's all the time that we have. Thank you so much for being with us, Hafiz S.N. Khokhar. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Humayun, thank you for being with us. Dr. Nisar Cheema, thank you for joining us today. As far as the overall political situation is concerned, certainly in the interest of political stability, economic stability, it seems to be the only solution that all political parties should sit together and work on as far a course of action for the next general elections, a time span for it, also for a charter of economy, charter of governance. When we talk about all of those things that we've consistently been doing for a couple of years now, there has to be across the board agreement from all political parties to be able to have that kind of agreement, that kind of charter, which can then function as a roadmap for many years to come, for many governments to come, for stability, for growth as far as Pakistan is concerned. Let's hope that we can move towards that, although the current political scenario would suggest otherwise. Thank you so much for joining us today on Perspective.